I think it's a good time for us to update the historic buildings and the projects you've got going on here. Give me the latest update on those, Will.
Sure thing. As you well know, we've been talking about saving our historic structures here that the town owns here in Pelzer. And as we've talked about for years now, one of the many things that makes Pelzer unique is its history. And we have a great history. And I think it's important to save the last few remaining original Pelzer buildings that we have. And fortunately, the town owns 3 of them. We're sitting in one of them, the historic gym, which is in the best shape of all 3. And then, of course, next door is the old hospital.
Some work's been done on this over the years, though.
Oh, a little bit, yeah, a little bit. And trying to do more, you know. But the old hospital, I'll talk about that for a sec. That was built in 1890. And it was called the Lyceum, and it was basically a library for the mill workers. And then in the 20s, they put an addition on the back, and it became the town hospital, which is what most people remember it as. And a lot of folks were born in that hospital up until the 60s, when it became the rescue squad. And I believe it remained the rescue squad until, I want to say, around 2009, perhaps, when the new building was built over across Highway 20. And so that building has remained abandoned since then, and it was scheduled to be, it was talked about being torn down at some point. And I've been trying to fight for that building, to save that building, to restore that building every chance I get. It was, like I said, built in 1890. It's a one-of-a-kind building. There's no other structure like it on the planet. It is Pelzer. It's one of our original buildings. We have already paid for designs, architectural designs and renderings and structural designs to restore it to its former glory and become our new town hall. And hopefully, perhaps, there's a back room that can be a future police department if we're ever allowed to have town taxes, property taxes. So the plans are in motion, and we're going to have to do an asbestos evaluation, as one would expect, and we are taking bids on that through the end of this month. So hopefully we'll have some answers for how much that's going to cost for the hospital. So we are pursuing the historic tax credits, and what that means is however much we spend on that building to restore it historically, accurately, whatever is approved by the state organization, then a percentage of that comes back to the town. State and federal historic tax credits, 45%. So it's a great investment to save and restore an historic structure and get money back to the town. And we're doing the same thing with the community building, which is actually farther along in the process. The community building, as we know, was built probably in the late 1800s, early 1900s as an open-air skating rink. And I'm told it is one of, if not the oldest, freestanding skating rink left in the state of South Carolina. It's in the Monkey Park. And it has served as a community building for many, many years. It was shut down during COVID. And as we were thinking about putting a better HVAC system in there, we were looking up in the roof and discovered all the original timbers in the roof and the walls.
That's one of the things you did early on.
I did.
As mayor, you were surprised to find the tall windows and the...
Oh, it was so much fun. I felt like I was Indiana Jones on an archaeology adventure. But we decided to, when we found out about the historic tax credits, we thought, wow, this is a great opportunity, especially when we were given all that money for COVID relief. And we voted then to devote that money to the restoration of that building, close to $600,000 from the federal government. And so we decided to tear down the not temporary, but the walls, the panel walls that went up in the early 90s and the drop-down office ceiling to reveal all the original structure. And we decided to do that with our maintenance staff in order to save some money on demolition. And in doing so, it's been closed since then, and so it does qualify as an abandoned building. So not only do we get the historic tax credits on that building, but also the abandoned building credits. So that's 70%. And if we get the abandoned building tax credits for the hospital, which I'm not sure about, I should say 45% for the hospital for sure, but the community building, from what I understand and been told, is the 70%. So the work that's done to bring the community building back to historic standards of what it used to look like, that cost will get 70% back through this process.
That building will be a big deal for this community.
It will be a big deal, and I think it's important to do it right, you know. A lot of folks just don't have a hard time seeing the vision of something that grand and that expensive. So we went through the process. It was, and we've talked about this before, we all know this, it was just outside of the historic district that exists here within the town of Pelzer. And so we had to get it its own designation on the National Register of Historic Places through the South Carolina Historic Preservation Office. That's right. So that process is nearing completion. It is in the system. The state office knows all about it. We took open bids on that process, and we approved the lowest bid of $937,000. That's a lot of money. And it's hard to imagine, you know, anybody having that much money around here. You know, that's a big number. $1 million is a lot of money. And what we're also doing is adding on to the building, which was approved, kitchen, storage area, and 2 restrooms, ADA accessible restrooms. And the addition will look like it belongs to the rest of the building. And so that room, I think, will serve up to maybe 250 people, I believe. And restore those big giant windows. And the floors are original, I'm told, from whenever it was built, made out of maple. So it can be a wonderful place for people to gather and celebrate milestones in their lives. And it can also be a source of income for the town. And we're always looking for new sources of income since we aren't allowed to have property taxes. A lot of folks like to rent out the gym right here. You know, we have dance classes in the gym in this lobby area. So we've had some income from that while the community building was closed. But there's a lot of opportunity there, a lot of promise there, and I really want to do it right. And so we're at the very end of the process. It's been like 4 years. So council at the last meeting last month approved that lowest bid. Did not approve the contract yet, but we've approved the lowest bid. And this past Monday we met with the contractor, and he answered a bunch of questions for us. We appreciate that, you know, going through all the details of what to expect. And it was nothing new. We've been told all of those things before. One thing that folks had questions about is what about insulation? You know, because the walls are very thin because it was an open air skating rink. And so in order to maintain the historic standards, you got to go back to that, the bead board. It's very thin. However, we did, from what I understand, get approval to create an additional wall on the inside. So there is some thickness, but there's no insulation, and it's a big room. So yes, there is going to be some costly to have cool air and heat that room when in use, but it is going to be separate from the other areas. So we're doing all we can to plan for that, and we knew that coming into it. And so I've seen the drawings. It's going to be beautiful. It's a lot of money, but the great thing is that we get that 70% back to the town, and it's not tied to anything. And the folks who are working on this are experts, and they do it all the time, and it is guaranteed. I know there was some question about, you know, is this really going to happen Yes, it can. We just have to approve this contract, let them get started. And I hope that the council will approve this project, because I think most folks in this town and this whole upstate would love to see it. So we're ready to go. And as soon as I can sign that contract on behalf of the town, they say it will take about a month to mobilize, and it'll take about 5 to 6 months to complete the project. So maybe if council raises their hand and says, yes, let's do it, we can have a fully restored community building by early next year, which would be really special for this community and a source of pride. And, I hope that they will support this initiative that I've been working on since day one, trying to restore that building with everything I've got. It's taken too long, but sometimes good things are worth the wait, and I think we have a real opportunity to save this original structure. And, at the council meeting last night, I think someone mentioned, well, why don't we just tear it down and put up a metal building instead, like a shed or something, and rent that out and just have it a functional use. Well, you could do that. You could tear down this building. You could tear down the hospital. You could tear it all down, just like all the other buildings were torn down. And you could put a Dollar General here.
But places that had, you never get those buildings back.
No, you don't.
In a lot of places, they regret tearing down the buildings that were
That's right.
markers.
And to me, we don't honor the past. We don't honor anybody who built this place by doing that, especially when we have everything we need to save it. We have the money. Pelzer's in great financial health right now. We have more money than we've ever had as a town. We've got $2.2 million in the bank. And that is through those smart decisions that we made to sell the permanent easement under the cell tower, to sell the water and sewer systems, and to I'll tell you about that in a sec. Okay. And then we have that COVID money. And so by doing that, we have all this money to restore these buildings. So we've got the lowest bid, Daniel Builders, a great company based in Anderson. We've paid for the architectural drawings. We've paid the consultant, the historic consultant. It's in the system with the state office. It's kind of ready to go, and they could break ground. All we got to do is say yes. So it's paid for. It's in the budget. Has been in the budget for several years. So the only thing stopping us is council saying no. So I hope that they'll say yes. The water and sewer improvements are well underway. If you drive down, especially around to the Lower Mill Village, you'll see them tearing up the roads. And it's a temporary inconvenience, but these guys are working really hard, and they're working all over town. And just to update folks who may not know, the town of Pelzer we voted to sell the water and sewer systems to Greenville Water and Rewa. And that was a smart decision because most of our water lines were 75 years old, and we were in charge of maintaining them. And we didn't have the money to upgrade anything. So in selling the water system to Greenville Water, they also got a $6 million grant from the government to upgrade the entire system, to put new mains under the river, the Saluda River, to the east of us into southern Greenville County, and to the north of us to Piedmont. And that is underway. And so were upgrades to the sewer system. This is going to be wonderful to have our infrastructure updated and to be ready for future development, such as Courtney Park, which is our new subdivision right here on Courtney Street. And they are grading that site. I encourage you to drive by and check it out. It's pretty exciting. It's happening. 125 new single-family homes going in there. We'll have an HOA. They'll be taking care of their own streets and lights. And so we'll have a lot of new neighbors coming into Pelzer. And
the first one in like 100 years to have a big, right?
Oh, yeah. This is
the Mill Hill, right?
Right. This is the first, or the largest, I should say, residential construction since the 1890s when they built the homes of the Upper Mill, with the Upper Mill being built in 1895. So that'll bring in a lot of new people to Pelzer. So that's exciting, and I'm sure some folks are a little apprehensive about all those new people coming here. But that is the trend in the upstate. Everyone has found out about what a great place this is to live, and everybody around the country is moving here as quickly as they can, unfortunately. Oh, my goodness. But so change is coming for all of us, not just Pelzer. And I think it's going to be good if we just keep our heads screwed on and have a good positive attitude and treat people with kindness and be good neighbors and work together and not against each other. I think we'll be just fine. The great thing about the water and sewer improvements is that people of Pelzer are not paying for it. We didn't have to take out a big loan or a big grant that we're going to have to pay for it back, you know. So we're not paying for it, and by selling the systems, you know, their rates were less than the town's. So everyone's bill dropped by, on average, about a third, 30%, something like that. So everybody pays less for better service. I mean, who can say that? And so we get to use this extra money to restore these two buildings, get money back, put them into use. If council approves the restoration of the hospital to be our town hall once it's complete, then the town office will be vacant, and that can be rented out to a new business. So another revenue stream. So all of these things have been worked on and approved for many years, and I hope to see them happen and approved before the end of this year. That would be great.
The Lower Mill property is being cleaned up. The county's kind of taken over the historic.
You're talking about the mill properties?
Yeah, the mill properties, yeah.
All I know, from what I understand, is that the Pelzer Heritage Commission is in the process of transferring their property to be owned by Anderson County. And I believe that transfer is still in process, but you would have to ask them.
I think plans are at least a little of the cleanup's already begun, I think.
They did do some cleanup. It's tough to maintain large pieces of property like that. So
that'll be a big deal for the town.
It will be a massive deal, and I hope that whatever they choose to do, especially down here, well, on both of them, will be the best idea or the best option that they can find, and that we don't settle for something less, and that we maintain our big dreams, because they can happen. I think they can happen here. You know, I see a lot of folks who don't necessarily have the same vision of what is possible. There's so much possible. Everything is possible. The sky is the limit, as I like to say. And if you don't believe me, I've already proven that with what I have accomplished here in town with Milltown Players. You know, folks come here from all over. This past season, we had over 31,000 people come to Pelzer, right up the road, to see one of my shows. And that's pretty remarkable. We don't receive any money from the town of Pelzer, and we receive very little from the county of Anderson. And so with the cheapest tickets around, we do more with less. We are probably one of the most attended community theaters in the whole state, with the least amount of resources, and we're not rolling in money. In fact, we lost money this past season, even with all those people attending. It's very expensive to put on a show like that, but more importantly, we are creating remarkable cultural opportunities, and everybody on our stage, anybody who works with us, is local. And I'm very proud of that, to feature local artists, some who live here in Pelzer and the rest who within driving distance. So people always say, where are they going next? I say, home. They live here. So that just goes to show that if you've got a dream and you believe in it and you do all the right things and keep that positive attitude and work really hard, you can achieve anything, especially here in Pelzer. And I love this town. And it can thrive if we just focus on the big picture and not on, the stuff that distracts us from what is right and what we should be doing and thinking about long term, 50, 100 years from now. 50 years from now, do we want to still have this beautiful historic community building and hospital here, restored perfectly, in use for generations to come? Or are we just going to see a parking lot? That's the choice. And we get to make that right now. So hopefully we'll do the right thing.
You've been without a clerk for a while now, which has put your budget.
Yes.
I think you are the last town that hadn't passed a budget yet. How did that kind of play out?
Well, our clerk found a new opportunity for employment back in April. And so she left us with many things to figure out, which we've been doing. So it has been me and the chair of our planning commission who has kept the office going this whole time. In fact, I gotta do payroll today.
That's not generally any of the mayor's.
It's not the mayor's job.
Right.
But if I don't do it, it won't happen, and everything stops, and bills don't get paid, and things get turned off, and I can't let that happen. So a lot of folks just really have no idea what has been going on behind the scenes, and the hours we've had to put in, stay late, to keep things going without a clerk for all of these months. And we've had some resumes come in, and we've done some interviews, and I've been trying to push us to hire someone. I was hoping to hire yesterday at our meeting, but we didn't have what we needed to get that done. So hopefully by next meeting, in October, we can vote on a clerk. And so we haven't had a budget. We passed a resolution to continue operating under our last fiscal year budget, which you can do. But we're ready to have a budget. And so I have prepared a budget with all of the information that I have, my best educated guess on all of these line items. Our accountant is going through stuff, trying to figure out where we stand on all of the line items and if they are indeed accurate. And so I put together a budget, and we looked at it and talked about it at the work session last week, and got it in a place where we thought we could do a first reading. And if we need to tweak things, that we could, because we need to have a budget. We need to pass a budget. And I brought that before council last night, and they did not second the motion to discuss it or approve it. And so it did not move forward. So we don't have a budget. They did not communicate to me why they didn't want to even vote on it. I don't know why. I thought we were all ready to move forward with the budget, but I will wait on them to let me know what they want to change.
Here, right?
We have only 3 council members currently. We had a 4th who resigned for personal reasons, so we have 4 of us total. So it's me as mayor, and we have 3 other council members. And so I'll see what they want to change about it, but it does put us back another month. And you have to do, because it's an ordinance, you got to do a first reading, hearing, second reading, and then it can be enacted, your budget. And so we really need to have a budget, especially if we're approving these major renovation projects. So In it, I put $1 million down for the community building, $1 million down for the hospital. And we don't know if it's going to be $1 million to renovate the hospital, maybe more. And if it is more, then we'll need to seek other sources of funding. I can use hospitality money on the community building. There's $120,000 available in the budget for that. So there are ways to do it, and I'm going to reapply through the state to ask for some state funding. That's could be a big help. You know, this year that there were no earmarks. I asked for $500,000 for the past 2 years and was hoping to get that. And as you well know, many of our nearby towns and communities have received large earmarks. Williamston's beautiful new playground was $750,000, I believe, and that was an earmark that was given to them by the state. So maybe if folks in Columbia could also consider Pelzer for the first time to save and restore this historic, unique, one-of-a-kind building, that'd be awesome. So I spoke with our representative, Blake Sanders, who was doing a great job, and he believes that that could be a possibility, that the earmarks will be restored. Whether you like them or not, that's how projects are funded sometimes. That's just how it is, whether you like it or not. And until they change the system, we either have that money or we don't have that money. And, you know, a lot of towns in the upstate have benefited from these earmarks. Powdersville's gotten a lot of money from earmarks, you know, to help with Dudley Cooper Park and et cetera. And we're happy for them. We want them to have that support, you know. These are our tax dollars. You know, let's put them to work. So that could be a pretty easy way to pay for the rest of the hospital if it's above $1 million. And that being said, you know, $1 million is a lot of money and it scares people. But again, I want to emphasize that the budget that I offered to the council is balanced. And we have that money. And I didn't even include all of our money that we have. There's money left over after all that. So we're in great shape. And the business license fees are coming in with all the new construction, new things going on. I think we're going to be better off than we even imagined. So my outlook is very positive and very bright. And, you know, I don't really have that much skin in the game left. I mean, this is the
elections coming up in November.
Elections are coming up.
All the offices are up. All your
Not all of them. What is available to vote on is mayor, 2 council members, and the rest of the unfinished term that the council member who quit.
So most of them
left open. It's most of them. There's only 1 seat that's not running.
But I think you've told before, you're not running for mayor again.
No, sir. I know there was a rumor that went out yesterday that I secretly filed to run. I did not.
I've looked at the filing. You did not file to run.
No, sir, I did not. But my term is up at the end of this year, and so it'll be someone else's responsibility come January. I wish them the best. And so, you know, I couldn't not even care about this stuff, but I do because I live here. It's my home, and I work here. And so I love this town. I've been here for 11 years, and I know its potential. I know it so well. I know its history. I know what its future could be if we can all just work together somehow to make that happen. I mean, it's not that hard, you know. And did I finish all the stuff I wanted to do? Not even close. But it's not bad considering I do work full time. I work a lot. I work day, night, and weekends. I never take a day off. But
Yeah, people sometimes forget the mayors and the entire county, they're part-time jobs.
They are, and it could be a full-time job if you wanted it to be, and if you had the time.
Yeah, it's a full-time commitment, but a part-time job.
That's right. So
they don't pay very much either.
No, sir, they do not. I guess it depends on what town you're in, but in this town, council gets $100 a month, and mayor gets 200, and after taxes like 185 or something like that. But we don't do this for the money, obviously. But people sometimes say, why can't the town do this? Why can't the town do that? Well, let's think about it. Who is the town? Right now, we have 2 employees who are in charge of everything, all maintenance, all groundskeeping, everything. And they're about to spend the next 2 weeks finishing up the disposal of the debris from last year's hurricane so that we can get reimbursed from FEMA. And so everything else is going to stop while they spend the 2 weeks moving and disposing and burning all that the trees and the branches that fell down that we have over on the lagoon. So we have 2 employees. That's it. And right now, the chair of the planning commission and me, with what little time I've got, are keeping things going. And so, if you see some tall grass or some weeds, we're real sorry. Doing all we can, man, with whatever we got. We don't have an administrator. We don't have a clerk right now. We can barely answer the phone. So thank you for your patience. Thank you for your forgiveness and your grace. And I hope that we can get a clerk next month, get a budget, get these projects approved, and then see it all happen.
And you'll go out in December with the final Christmas parade for you?
Yes. I may not be in that Christmas parade because I do have a huge Christmas show coming at the theater, and I may have to be involved with that. But the Christmas parade is always fun. But I don't think they want to see my face on any float. At least a few people. But it's all good because I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be around here and involved and doing anything I can to help out and continue to make Pelzer an even more special place than it already is.
Well, we'll catch up at the end of the year.
Sounds good. Thank you.